Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of LogicBots. We are back with the dotted color maze. Let's actually have a look at the level once again right here. And you guys of course made me aware of something so crucial that makes this puzzle a lot easier, a lot. Now something I haven't noticed, and I don't know why the heck I haven't noticed that. I did facepalm quite hard. But basically all of these colors represent a certain direction. So if you look at that shebang, you can see for instance the yellow color faces directly towards the west, then the blue color northwest, and so on and so forth. So all of these colors represent a certain direction. I'm going to list all of the colors right now with their respective color sensor number, also their direction and the degrees on the compass if you place the compass without any rotation. So that is the table that I made myself in order to understand this problem a lot easier. Now let's go ahead and actually build our robot first. We're gonna take the spider tech. I think this one is the most suited for this purpose. We're gonna enable a couple of these lines. There we go. Now we're gonna need some wheels. One is gonna be here for the right motor and another one right there for the left motor. We're also gonna add a caster wheel in the front right there. Caster ball should be good. And last but not least, we're gonna need a color sensor. Now this guy unfortunately is pointing away from its attachment point. So what we have to do, instead of adding another caster ball, for instance in the back, just add the sensor right here. It doesn't work if you add it in the front because the vehicle will turn too early. But there we go, this is the basic setup. One more thing that I want to add is of course the compass. We're gonna add that here in the front, and then we are going to add two number monitors. One is gonna be right there. I'm gonna call this CS for color sensor, and we're gonna have yet another number monitor right there for the compass. There we go, that should be it. Let's get rid of the snap lines so we can have a look at our beautiful design, and this is what we're gonna take into this task. Now just to be sure, let's actually see the compass. Right now it is pointing south, so if we have a look at that, red indeed means south. So it is detecting the red color, though at the moment it doesn't detect the right color because we of course haven't hooked it up, so we cannot really see it at the number monitor, but we can change that very quickly. Let's just add the spider tech right there, then a color sensor, the color sensor monitor. We got the electronic compass and also the monitor for that. This time we're gonna go with the absolute rotation, so we're gonna add that right here. And then a color sensor is gonna go right there. Let's actually also rename that. Maybe let's rename it just color so it becomes abundantly clear. Now, if we press the start button, we can see it is detecting number 1, and looking at my list, we can indeed see red is number 1, and that means 180 degrees, which we have on the compass at the moment. Good, so with that knowledge, let's jump back into the circuitry. Now we are gonna do the sentence thing once again. The first thing I want to do, if you remember the previous puzzles, we needed to actually decide for a direction to go and then make the bot go into that direction for as long as it doesn't detect another color. And as soon as it detects another color, we want to change the direction and then keep that new direction. Now we already know that 0 is going to point north, so we can exclude that from everything else. For instance, we could say if the color is not 0, we want to set the multiplier to something else. So how can we check that? Of course we need a comparison gate. Greater than, I'm gonna add that right here. That seems to be fine. So if the color is bigger than 0, for that we're gonna need a static value. I'm gonna add that right here. Then we want to store the number. What we have to use for that is the number storage. Yeah, this gate stores a number input. When its set input receives a high signal, it will output this number until the gate is reset or it is set to another number. So that is interesting. Let's place that bad boy right here. And if we go ahead and actually maybe split that signal up, so we have two of the color signals, that would be great. Yeah, let's go ahead and remove that. We're gonna add that bad boy back here. And then we're also gonna need a signal splitter. We're gonna add that here and there and also here. And what we should be seeing is, let's actually test that. We're gonna start and we have the color 1. Maybe we don't actually need that. Maybe we only need to set the number, to be completely honest with you. That could also be. So let's remove that for the time being until I'm sure I'm definitely gonna need that. So now essentially what we did with that is we checked whether or not it is detecting any color at all. If it doesn't detect a color, it is set to 0, and that is why we made this comparison. So if it does detect a color, it needs to be above 0, and this color will be stored in here. So if it is above 0, then we want to set this number storage. And it will be set to the color it detects, so the corresponding number. Now that we have stored the multiplier, we basically need to multiply this with 45 degrees. So maybe let's set the second number to 45 right here. That is the smallest angle we need at this point. And we need to compare. No, we actually need to do a mathematical function. We need to multiply it. So let's add that right here. We're gonna multiply this guy, this number, with 45. And we will be getting a certain amount of degrees going for ourselves. Next, we need to make sure that the compass is always aligned towards the right direction. So we learned from previous designs that we should do this with NOT gates. So in case we have the perfect angle, it will actually also work and still continue. Now, let's think about this. If the angle is bigger than what we want, I'm actually gonna have to check that right here. Stop, pause. So the compass is going towards that direction. Let's say, in this case, we needed to turn left in order to go straight again. So if the compass number is bigger, then we want the left wheel to not go anymore. So if the compass is smaller than the degrees we calculated, gonna add that here, degrees, and oh, actually we're gonna need a splitter. Let's add a splitter here. Then we are gonna need the compass number, so we're gonna need that pass through, and let's actually move maybe over here and there to make this a little bit cleaner. If the compass is smaller than the degrees, then we don't want the right motor to turn, right? Okay. Maybe it's the other way around, but we will see. If the compass number is greater than the degrees we calculated, yeah, we're gonna need a splitter for that as well. Oh, that's too unfortunate, but there we go. We're gonna do that and that. I'm sorry, it's a little bit chaotic with the cabling, but maybe this is already enough to do a first test. I mean, I've done some testing, a lot of testing, but you can never be too sure. Also, we should actually perform a reset thinking about this. Maybe we add a start pulse and reset that shebang and reset that shebang, just to be sure. And we're still missing the input here. I'm not so sure that is going to work. Yeah, right now it's kind of just turning around. That's not good. But what if we set the input to the color as well? So we could add another signal splitter and add that and that and the input here. Oh, okay, now it actually shows a number 3. That's interesting. Is it because we are above yellow? Does that count as yellow? I'm not so sure. Let's test it out. We are still... Oh, that's interesting. So it kept at 45 degrees because we detected red. Ah, of course, that makes sense. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I totally forgot the right multiplier. Things just got a lot more complicated than I anticipated. Of course, we cannot use these multipliers. For instance, we're detecting yellow, apparently at the moment, because yellow is 3. And that means if we have this multiplier with 45 degrees, that would be 3 times 45 degrees, therefore 135 degrees, which is actually green. That's not good. Okay guys, I thought about this for a little bit and maybe what we could do in order to prevent this problem. I mean, it's kind of a big problem to be honest with you, but we might be able to solve this with relative rotation instead. What we have to do is adjust the compass rotation, the placement. Let's see, what if we had it, how much were we off? Like we were at 135 degrees, something along these lines? Yeah, I think that might be the correct rotation. Let's make sure we get this perfectly centered. I want to have it right there. And now it's kind of facing, I believe, at least into the direction it should for it to go straight in the beginning. So that's working out. However, what is it doing at the yellow spot now? Okay, this might actually be working out. So that might be the reason we were failing at the beginning. Oh my gosh. Okay, so far so good. Let's speed things up until we reach the cyan color. Cyan should be number 6, so yeah, we definitely had to work with that. Oh my gosh, how many times I facepalmed with this task, Jesus. But I think we... okay, of course, it's always turning towards the right side, but this might result in a problem right here, to be completely honest with you. But holy cow, that this was the issue, the compass placement. I was so not ready for this. Anyways, we're gonna speed this up. I think we're pretty much safe at this point. I mean, what could go wrong? Nothing can, nothing can. Alright, the last turn, and we should be done with it. Of course, we weren't very fast, to be honest with you, but we did get the budget and also the other achievement, whatever that was about. Pretty darn cool, I have to say. Let's go ahead and have a look at the multitasking once again. That would be the next puzzle, but not sure if we're gonna do that in today's episode, as we have to build a bot that can make it through this maze, so always go towards the right or the left, I guess. Yeah, the left would be better in this instance, so we can go right here and through here and out of there. Then we have to follow the line. As soon as we detect a line, we will have to follow that. We will also have to make sure that once we go through the maze, we are actually at a distance towards the wall where we will be able to detect this line. And we're gonna go through here all the way up to there. And then we need a third functionality in order to not mess this up. So we will have to make sure that our sensors that are detecting the line do it in a way so that once we reach this platform, we go all the way towards the outside and then follow along here. Oh, there is a corner here. Okay, I think I got a pretty good idea how I want to solve that. Give me a couple of minutes in order to see if that's working out. And back we are, guys. Holy cow. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and I think I got a solution that will get us quite far, but maybe not quite to where we need to go. But that's what I have you guys for. You will be able to give me some tips in the comment section. But this is my bot. There's actually something that I can remove still. So what we have is a proximity sensor here on the top that is detecting the wall on the left side and also towards the front. We also got a sensor right here that will be detecting the lines and also the platform. Now with the platform, I still have a couple of issues. If we go, you know, the maze is very easy and also the lines are pretty much easy, but the platform is going to be hard because of these edges right here. They are a little bit too sharp and I fear that my robot is just gonna drop off at this point. Something new that they added here is these guys right here. Those are like checkpoints and you can actually register them. So as soon as you reach a checkpoint, you can assign your bot to do different tasks. That's going to be something that we're going to utilize as well. So let's go ahead and have a look into the circuit board. I think, no, actually this guy right here is the checkpoint sensor. I put it at the back. So once we passed the checkpoint, it's going to go into a secondary program. You know, because when we don't detect a wall anymore after we are through with the maze, then of course in the second phase we don't want to utilize this sensor anymore. So let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and open up the circuit board. I already laid out my bits and pieces the way I wanted to. Up here we have the line sensor and we have also the checkpoint sensor. At the bottom we have the proxy sensor. So one thing we are gonna utilize in today's video is the counter right here in order to detect in which stage we actually are. And of course we're gonna hook that up to the checkpoint sensor. So whenever the checkpoint sensor detects something, we want to add to this number and therefore we know in which part of the puzzle we are. This means we are also gonna have to reset that shebang right here, and something I tend to forget sometimes. Alright, we could for instance do it with an equal sign, so we could place that bad boy here, and for good measure I'm gonna add a splitter there because we want to compare this value to other things as well, I presume. But if the phase we're currently in equals to 0, so we're gonna have to add a static value of 0 and compare that value, then that means we are in the maze. So if we are in the maze, I'm actually gonna add a splitter right here. We could hook this up right there. If we are in the maze, then we want the left motor to go and also not the right motor. So we're gonna add a NOT gate right here, hook this guy up and this guy right here. If you don't know this logic, that's something we did in the previous maze that we had to go through. And with that, I believe we should already be capable. No, actually I forgot things. I forgot to add an AND gate because of course we want to check for some more conditions. So if it is 0, if we are in the first puzzle, and also the proximity sensor is detecting something, only then of course we want to have this happen. So let's test this again, and with that we should already be able to successfully go through the maze, just like we did the previous time. Now, as soon as we are going to leave the maze, you can see there are a couple of checkpoint markers. We will be going into the second phase, and therefore the bot should behave differently. Let's check this out. We're getting through, and yeah, there we go. It's now always turning towards the left side, even though it is detecting something. And this is exactly where the line sensor on our right side is gonna come in, because in that phase we of course want to utilize it. Now, since we are gonna need access to the left motor, I'm going to add an OR gate right here, and we're gonna add that there, and also this one goes here, so we can hook both of these signals up to the left motor. Now, of course, we are also gonna have to enable the right motor with the same logic. So instead of a wall, we're gonna detect the line. Now, it's the same logic as with the proximity sensor and the wall, but this time with the line on the ground. So we are gonna need another OR gate, I presume, right there, and we need to hook this up to that guy, and we lost this signal, so we're gonna add it to this OR gate, and also we need a splitter. Yes, of course, we need to split up this signal, add it to this OR gate, and add it to this OR gate. So now we have the same logic for the line and also for the walls. Is there anything else we can add? We can, start and check out what is happening when we enter the second phase. Okay, slowly but surely we're getting there. As soon as we reach this spot, you can see it behave differently, but then it detected the line and now it is following the line. That is actually absolutely beautiful. Maybe this is already gonna work. That would be, no, it's the corners, the sharp corners that are gonna screw us on the platform. But let's see if we can even make it up the ramp. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, the checkpoint is gonna be reached soon, though this one is not doing anything because we haven't defined anything for other numbers than 0. This is the second phase, or phase 2. We had phase 0, phase 1, and this is phase 2. And you can see so far this is actually working great, but right here we're gonna run into troubles. Yeah, that's exactly what I expected to happen. Maybe we could have avoided that using a different robot, but I felt like the maze is a little bit too narrow for the other body. So that is a problem, and I have absolutely no idea how to solve it. And I've run into this issue before, and I was kind of hoping to get rid of it with a delay or a countdown timer. We got some stuff like that. Yeah, look at that, a countdown timer. All I know what we could do is add another equal sign, for instance, add the number 3 right there. We could take this signal right here. I already prepared that. So if we are in phase 3, no, I actually have to type 2, of course, because we start at 0. So phase 3 would be number 2. But if that is the case, then we could do something special, Then we could add another condition. But I don't know which condition would solve that problem. I tried a few things with reversing the motor directions and stuff like that. I have everything laid out. I have the condition ready. I just don't know what it is, what will solve the problem. So that's where you guys come in. Hopefully you will actually have an idea. I'm gonna show you the problem one more time. I mean, we're doing the maze with ease as well as the line, but then the platform is just horrific. There we go, making the transition to the line, and it worked magnificently. There we go, we are entering the third stage, and therefore the new condition would be active. But now we're gonna run into this issue where we are turning too quickly for this robot. Then we're just dropping down. So that is a problem. We might have to add a delay, but I don't know. I mean, nothing worked that I was thinking of. So we're gonna leave it be at that stage. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully you're gonna have an answer for me so I can solve this puzzle as well, and then we're gonna have everything done in the second part of the campaign as well. The industrial estate, you can see it's just the multitasking that's missing. But yeah, thank you so much guys, have a great time, and hopefully I'm gonna catch you in the next video. Bye bye.